Hello, YouTube, and welcome to week 8. So we're going to start with upper body, obviously. Yesterday, when I woke up, my right shoulder was feeling a bit funky. Whereas when I first realized when I got into the car and you just kind of like grab the steering wheel like this. When I did this, I could feel this part. It was kind of like a front delt sort of issue. It just felt a bit funky. It was kind of like it was pinching me when I was on this sort of position. So I was thinking about today. I was like, should I really push it? Should I just do the normal workout and see how it goes? Or should I just do a deload week for upper body? And obviously still train legs properly this week, but take a deload for upper body. And I just did my warm up here. We're obviously going to start with the bench, Smith presses. And it doesn't feel bad at all. I mean, that sort of sensation, that pinchy sensation has now gone completely. I haven't felt it all day today. But obviously I wanted to come in and do the warm-up, make sure that I'm moving my muscles and see if that's going to cause any problems. But as of now, no problems. So we are going to do the upper body sort of session as per usual. Usual weight, usual exercises, usual amount of sets. Nothing is really going to change unless, of course, I start feeling a bit weird there, a bit funky. If my shoulder start feeling a bit funky, then I'm obviously going to take a step back. Take this for me, especially if you're an intermediate to advanced lifter. If something feels off, do not try to push through it. You might not like the results. Sometimes, it's something very small. If your finger hurts, you'd be all right, But if it's tendons, if it's kind of like connective tissue, if it's shoulders, if it's elbows, if it's knees, if it's lower back, especially, don't try to push it through. To kind of like push through it. Push through the pain is what I'm trying to say. Take it easy, take a step back, still come to the gym, of course, still do your stuff, but obviously less weight and just be very mindful of that spot that hurts and just pay attention to it constantly. And if you feel that half the weight is still too much, you're still feeling of that burning sensation or that pinchy sensation, back down on weight. And if you can't do it, go home. Or do something else, of course, right? Just do legs or something else that's not going to affect your shoulder. The bad thing with shoulders is that you can't really do anything on the upper body if your shoulder is fucked. You can't bench, you can't curl, you can't do any back exercises. So it's like you're left with nothing, literally, and you can't really do much. You can do abs, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, it's an unfortunate thing to happen, but it is what it is. For now, though, let's not jinx it. I'm all right. So we're going to start with the first set here. We have 100 kilos on. Usual stuff. We're going to do 4 sets. I'm going to try to superset that with a back exercise, just so we can move quick and get done as quickly as possible. Not because I want to get out of here, but because I kind of like the idea of not wasting time waiting around. So yeah, I'm going to start with the bench, Smith press, 100 kilos, 4 sets. 4th set is probably going to be a drop set, and we are going to superset that with a back exercise, where the last back set is also going to be a drop set. Let's start here though. So 100 kilos. Let's see how many reps we can actually do. And again, if I feel my right shoulder feeling a bit funky again, I'm just going to stop, or I'm just going to take the weight off, go back down to 16, see how that feels, and sort of assess the situation and go from there. Let's begin. Oh. 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 Ah. Oh, that was 11 good reps. That wasn't bad at all. Wasn't bad at all. All right, let's hop on and do some back now and come back here. All right, so we're going to start with the lat pull down, which is actually one of my pretty much favorite exercises for back. There are others that are above it, I'm not going to lie. But it's a good exercise because it targets the lats, and, nobody missed out for having big lats. So definitely do lat pull downs. But I've said this before in previous videos, but there's like two types of exercises, two types of separate exercises that you should be doing if you're going to do an upper body session or even a back session, right? So one of them is an exercise that you're pulling down to you. So the lat pull down is one of these. You pull towards your head or towards your upper chest, if this makes sense. You just pull down. And then there's another one where you pull towards your chest. So you pull towards, kind of like pulling across. So there's these two exercises that they should, if you're doing them right with a good technique, they should pretty much target every muscle group in your back, which I guess in essence it's a muscle group by itself. But the back is weird there because you have three different main muscle groups. So you have your lats, you have your traps, and then you have kind of like the lower part of the back. And all these muscles, they do different things. So the lats are very good for pulling. The traps are very good for kind of like doing this movement, kind of like pulling up, if this makes sense. And then you have the lower back, which is very good for kind of like bracing you. So when you bend over and you do this, that's pretty much all lower back. It's not lats, it's not traps. So, but this is kind of like a different movement, right? So one of them you kind of have to brace, kind of like lean forward and then do this. Or the other one is you have to pull down and then, you know, obviously for kind of like middle back, you have the pulls, middle back and lower back. You have when you do pulls, kind of like pullovers. And then the traps, traps, deadlifts are very good for traps. Slugs, obviously. But I don't really pay too much attention to them because it's like my traps are very good. So I don't really want to spend too much time wasting on traps. And I've said this in previous videos, my back is kind of like ahead of the competition. Back and legs, really. But because it's so much ahead of the competition, I don't really need to train them all that much or all these muscles at the same time because then it takes too much energy, too many resources from other muscle groups. So it's just kind of like one of these things where you're going to have to figure it out. But if you have a body part which is kind of like a head, it could be arms, it could be chest, it could be legs, it could be calves, it could be anything, right? But just see it, just look yourself at the mirror and just be like, well, my chest doesn't need a lot more, does it? It's kind of like it's so big compared to everything else. I look a bit ridiculous. So what you have to do is taper down the amount of sets that you do per week on chest, and then do more sets for back, for arms, for shoulders if you need to. Because a big chest, you usually kind of have, you know, decent sized shoulders. But yeah, definitely just take some volume off that muscle group, which is just ahead of the game, and move that volume to another muscle group, which is it just needs more. So with that being said, we're going to start the lat pull down. Again, 4 sets. We're kind of like supersetting these, but I've talked for far too long, so I need to get going. So first set, we have a lot of weight on, whatever that is. But let's begin the first set. It's obviously neutral grip. I've said this about grips. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, but the fact that you're doing a lat pull down, this sort of setup, this machine, it's like 5 or 6 different exercises depending on the grip. So you have the neutral, you can do underhand, you can do overhand, you can do mag grip, you can do close grip. There's so many variations of this exercise, which is actually different exercises because they target different parts of the back depending on your grip, on the position of your grip. So yeah, we're just going to start with the neutral one because I really like it. And it's the mag grip one. I really like this because your forearms are not that much of an issue on this. So that's kind of like why I like it, because I can then isolate my back and focus on it. But let's begin the first set. Obviously, the other positive with these, I don't have to strap myself around anything, which takes too much time, if you ask me. Ah, not bad. Not bad. All right, so time to do some tests again. One of the things I really enjoy about, I don't enjoy it, but I find it very funny. When you train in the morning, which means you wake up, you go to the gym straight away. I don't have any food before I work out. I usually have all the food after. That's just me. But yeah, I just took a little bit of caffeine now. So, you pretty much, you wake up and you go to the gym. It's like the first few sets, you feel so sluggish. You feel kind of asleep. I can even tell it from my voice, from how I sound. I sound asleep, right? But 2 sets in, you kind of like, you're waking up. It's like the machine of yours is kind of like, it's getting started, it's getting warmed up. And it's kind of like funny to see it going from hello people to hi people. So, but it is what it is, isn't it? So let's do the second supersets here and move on. Ah. So 11 first set, I was 10. Not bad. Hopefully we can stick to 10 for the next set. That'd be nice. Well, let's do some back. All right, I think I should just rest for a couple of minutes, but you know what? I talked for too much, for too long. I talked for too much? I talked for too long before. So let's get straight into set number 2 here and go from there. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right, so we're going to begin the third set. Sets. It's a superset. Whatever you want to call it. 2 sets or a superset. Same weight as before. Shoulder feels all right. So I'm not going to complain too much. I'm just going to go into the set because I don't want the shoulder to not feel all right. But nothing out of the ordinary. No pain. No weird sensations. No burning or itchy or pinchy or whatever. It's fine. So let's not jinx it. Let's do the third set. Finish off with back and then do the drop sets here. And then figure out what we're going to do next. We're probably going to do cables for upper chest. And as I said, an exercise, a back exercise where you pull towards your chest. That's probably going to be with a close grip just because it's already on the actual cable. Assuming that nobody else starts using it. But yeah, let's finish off the third set. Ah. Oh, fuck me. Not too bad. Not too bad. That was obviously failure. But I thought I had another one, but I didn't want to push it too much. I could probably have locked it out. But again, we are bodybuilding. I'm not trying to bring my strength up by any means, especially not if I'm going to do 10 reps here. Should be doing way less reps for strength. So All right, give me a minute just to make sure that I can actually re-rack this properly. Should be all right. Hopefully. There we go. So we're going to go down to 60. I'm just going to take the 20s off. 120 from a side. 120 aside. And we're going to do a drop set after. But obviously, first of all, we have to finish off the third set for back. And then come back here. You know, I don't actually know how many reps I did here before on the first two sets. Got no idea. I know how many I did for back, for chest, but not for back. It's kind of like one of these things. It's like just train very close to failure until you cannot really complete a full range of motion rep, or very close to that point. But if you train that way, the number of reps is not really that important. It's important just as long as you're doing more than 8, to me, for hypertrophy, more than 8 all the way to 20 for some exercises, obviously not for the heavy ones, but for some exercises you can do 20 reps for hypertrophy, it's fine. But just as long as you're doing more than 8, just as long as you're not doing 4 or 5 reps, you're fine. You don't really need to count the reps, just as long as you know that you are training hard. So let's do the third set. Oh, no. Fuck me. Nice, not too bad. I'm just gonna take the weight off from the Smith and then do the drop set. Ready, so drop set. We're down to 60 kilos, which is obviously quite a drop, but it doesn't really matter because I'm probably going to do more than 20 reps here, going off past performance. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to do the last drop set, the last set, which is a drop set for the back, and then move on to kind of like the second part of the workout. Oh my. Fuck. That was a good drop set. I think that was 21. It might have been a few more, but 20 plus. I'll take it. Oh. The burning sensation on this is insane. Insane. And there are going to be people in the comments at some point. I know it. They're going to say, oh, you're moving too fast. Oh, you're not locking up at the top. I'm like, duh. I'll explain why, just so you guys know too. But first of all, let me just take that shit off. Right, so let me actually stay on this position just so I can show you. When you're training for hypertrophy, locking up, which is a contraction, is not really as important as the eccentric part. And obviously the stretch position, the bottom end of the range of motion, right? So you don't really have to grind all the way to lock your shoulders. is not really that beneficial to you if you're training for hypertrophy. If you are training for strength, then things change, because most competitions will actually require of you to lock the weight up on the way up. So, but for us, for our purposes, we don't really need to lock shit, all right? So I'm still going up, right? But I'm kind of like stopping there. See where my elbows are at? They're not locked up, kind of like bended. So once I get to that spot, I don't have to wait. I don't have to pause. If I pause, it's because I'm resting. Active rest, I guess. I'm taking just a couple of breaths so I can do more reps. But for the most part, once I reach this spot, I can then start coming down. And on the way down, if you want to pause somewhere, don't pause at the top, pause at the bottom. But obviously for me, just on this, just because it feels so good, and because it feels so light as well, I just want to do the reps. So I'm still controlling it, like the tempo remains the same, and it only gets slower as I progress, because obviously I'm getting more tired. But, that's all you have to do. And again, you're obviously really trying to stretch, so the bar is, you can, like, your chest becomes the limiting factor, because the bar is just going to come in contact with it and you can't go any deeper. That's fine, that's all right. That's why I usually try to lower the bar above the nipple, because if you're arching, you can then come just a little bit lower, just stretch the muscles just a little bit more, and obviously you're targeting a little bit of upper chest as well, which are all positives. So that's why I do it the way that I do it. And if anybody in the comments is going, well, you're going too fast, or you don't lock all the way up, I don't have to. And yes, I know I'm going faster than before, because that's 60 kilos, it's not 100. So let's do the last drop set for back, and then start with the second phase of our training session. So I'm only going to take 2 plates off. Actually, I'm going to take 3 plates off. I'm going to go... What was that before? Listen, I don't know. I'm going to take 2 or 3 plates off. I'm kind of lost in the starting position. But that's all right. I'm going to take 2 to 3 plates off. It's not a lot of weight, but it's enough, because obviously back. So just going to do the drop set and then move on. Well, let's get this out of the way first. Oh, that was no easy feat. But we're done. We did it. See you over there in a sec. Right, so we're going to begin the second back exercise. I was watching Dr. Mike from RPE, and he was listing his top 5 back exercises, and this was actually one of them, but with a twist. See, what a lot of people are doing on this exercise, by the way, this is exactly what I did on my last back day. So, just to grab the weight, and I did say on the video, you come back to the point where your elbows are behind your back, so around this, kind of like this position is kind of like good, and then on the way back, if you stop at this position, whereas your elbows and your knees are kind of like meeting each other, if this makes sense, they're creating like 90-degree angles, it should be good enough for a range of motion perspective, right? Because I've seen people do this exercise completely wrong, but this should be good enough, and it's not bad by any means, but I think there is a better way to do it, and I don't think actually, because I just did the warm-up here, and it felt very fucking good. And shout out to Dr. Mike for saying this, for showing this, and all that kind of stuff. So what you should do is you're going to come to a position where I'm very lucky, by the way, with this machine, because as you can see, this bed where you put your feet on, is kind of like out and away from the weights, from where the cable starts. So that creates that bit of a distance that we need for this kind of exercise, especially the way that we are going to do it. So you're going to have to put your feet there. I have them slightly bended, very minimal focus. I need as much distance as possible to do what I'm about to do. So when I'm going to grab this, I'm going to do this as per usual, and then on the way back, you're gonna see me really lean forward and reach out. So that will create that much more range of motion. As you can probably see, I've reduced the weight from what we usually do because I think this is going to be too much. The other thing that you're going to have to do, please listen to me on this, use straps for this exercise. Our bodies can move so much weight when you're doing this sort of exercises, where, and you know, especially the way we're going to do it, because the each rep is just going to be prolonged now because of the stretch, because of the range of motion. Eventually your forearms are going to give up. They might not give up on the first set, but if you are going to do 4 sets, in my case I'm going to do 3 sets, but if we are going to do 3 to 4 sets, eventually your forearms are going to give up. You're not even going to know. You're going to think that your back has given up, but in reality your forearms have given up. So use straps for this. You need them for a big back. You need straps. This is a non-negotiable. All right. If you're training for strength, it's a completely different conversation. If you're competing, some competitions will not even allow you to have straps. Different conversation entirely. But for hypertrophy, for size, you need this. So let me show you what this actually looks like. It's very interesting, man. And I say this because I did the warm up and I was like, holy shit. That feels so good. So let's do it. Right. So again, my knees are slightly bended, and then I'm going to come down. That's it. You can give a very gentle touch on the weights, and then pull. That was good. That was really fucking good. So obviously the main difference is obvious. Is very, very obvious. You're just gonna have to lean forward a lot. However, if your setup is different than this, you're gonna have to find a more creative way of doing this exercise. Because again, I'm a little bit lucky. These are kind of like, they create that much of a distance from where the actual cable is starting. It's about this much, which allows me to do this exercise this way. But even with that distance, I would have liked a few more inches just so I can really bend forward and kind of like lean forward and stretch the back even more. But it is what it is. We're just gonna have to stick to it or come up with a very creative way of creating more distance. But it's all right. It's all right for now. One thing that I will say, especially if this is the first time that you are going to do it this way, reduce the weight. Reduce it. You're running risks of injuring yourself if you're not going to reduce the weight. I don't think you can move as much weight as I don't think I can move as much weight as I usually move because of that extra range of motion. You know, but it is what it is. So I think I'm going to finish off back first, and then I'm going to do the upper chest after. We'll see. I'm not just going to like mix them up, but I'm going to do another back set before I do any chest movements. So I'll see you in a sec. All right, so I'm just going to give you a different angle to this. But it's just the normal exercise that you would usually do, but the range of motion has been increased quite significantly. especially depending on how far away you can get. You can just increase it even more if you want. But even that extra bit that I'm doing now makes such a massive difference already. So let me just, wrap myself around stuff, tie myself around stuff, I should say. I think that sounds even more weird. And on this channel, we're all about weird. Not really, but still. There we go. Nice and firm. Right, where did it go? 1, 2, 3. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ah, ah, ah. Ooh, yeah. Good enough. Good enough. We need a few more inches to do it perfectly, but it is what it is. Sometimes you're just limited from the equipment you have, but it's fine. It's fine. It's really. It feels so much better than the other one, than the other alternative, the other version of this exercise that I was doing all this time. It just feels that more of your back is being used. It's a bit of a weird statement, but if you think about it, you're using lower back for this one because you're bending forward and then, you're shooting back. And you're using mid back and upper back. You know, not that much of a lat. It's not that much of a lat movement or that much of a shrug movement. No, I think this is the closest exercise that you can do, which will actually target most of the back, which is obviously a very big plus. But yeah, so we have 3 sets in total, so we're going to do one more here. It's not going to be a drop set. I think I'm just going to keep the weight because it feels good. But I am going to start with the upper chest there, just so we can, do some sets while we wait for our back to recover. Right, so for the chest, we have the upper pec cable flies. The OGs know this exercise. An amazing exercise. Probably the best exercise for upper pecs ever, because it allows you to really isolate them. Right. It wasn't bad, but I am gonna reduce the weight just by a plate, just so I can do a few more reps, because I felt like I did too little in terms of volume. So, gonna take a plate off. I'm gonna do a few more reps on the next one. But for now, we're just gonna take a couple of breaths and then go do the last back exercise, and then come back here. One more. Last back set. I'm only doing 3 sets because Again, for those of you who are new here, welcome, first of all. Second of all, for those of you who are new, my back is just a little bit ahead of the game, so I'd rather do 7 sets total for back when I do upper body, and 8 sets for chest. Taking 1 set away is not really going to do that much in terms of losing or gaining muscle. It's probably not going to do anything. It's just going to slow the rate of which I'm gaining muscle on my back. But it is what it is. As I said, back is ahead of the game, so I'd rather use the time and specifically energy and resources that my body would allocate to do that 4th set and obviously recover from it as well. Use all these resources into a different group. Well, I'll let my body decide which group that's going to be. But for the most part, we do 8 sets for chest, and we do more shoulders now, more side lats. We do rear delts now as well. I think we hit those 3 times a week. So obviously more volume there, so I can get that extra kind of like width on the shoulder and create that bump. Well, the bump's already there, but make it bigger is what I'm trying to say. So that's kind of like my train of thought behind it. But that's why I only do 3 sets. It's kind of like it made a little bit of sense to me to do, 3 sets versus 4 sets. But it is what it is. So let's do the third and last set. We're done with back. We still have 3 sets left to do for chest. Not ideal, but it is what it is. So yeah, as I said, reduce the weight. Just took a plate off. It should make it move a lot smoother and allow me to focus more on the upper chest and obviously do a few more reps per set. Oh. Yeah, that was much better. It wasn't just that I did more reps, I was able to stay at that extended position at the bottom end of the range for a few more seconds per rep, which was actually very good. It feels very nice when I do this. So 2 more sets. I don't know if I am going to change anything. I think I'm just going to keep it the way that it is and just do the 2 sets and then call it a day. But yeah, I have an insane back pump. It's like I can just feel it like throw out, if this makes sense. Well, this is actually not really going to help us where it is. But yeah, it's kind of like it feels My back just feels massive at the moment. Alright, so battery is running low on the camera, so we're just gonna have to smash this out. To be fair, I did rest between the second and this set, so be alright. But maybe I'm just gonna have to do the last set a bit quicker, or maybe it's gonna be a drop set. We'll find out. Oh, fuck me. Right, just one more left. I'm gonna keep it the same weight. It's not too bad. I did 10 plus reps, so it'll be alright. One more set, then we'll call it a day. Go home and eat, rest, and come back tomorrow for more. And our last little set. Oh, that's it. That's upper body complete. Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all. I was actually a bit. I was worrying a little bit just because of my shoulder, but I couldn't feel anything throughout the workout, so that's pretty good. Mostly, if it is something, I'm pretty sure it's going to let us know by the end of the day today, or at least tomorrow. But it should be alright because I don't feel anything. So must have slept funny. I don't know. Who knows? It's alright. It's not none of our problem. So I'll be alright. So that's it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to see you again. We'll have shoulders and legs, mainly legs, but we're going to do a little bit of shoulders in the beginning because why not? And yeah, we're going to go from there. Peace, everybody.